At Southwestern High School in Indiana, the kids drill.
I see they're all running past this red line. What is that?
The red line is a security measure, and that's in place because if we stand behind this red line, if there's a shooter at the door, they cannot see the children.
And this is something schools can do right now. There's a red line on the ground.
Absolutely.
But here they go high-tech too. The classroom doors are bullet resistant. And cameras, so many cameras everywhere. And it's not just school officials watching either. They're connected live with the sheriff's department 10 miles away. Authorities can track an intruder in real time.
Every teacher here, you have your own panic button.
Yeah, we all wear a fob in case there's a security breach. We can push this button and the entire alarm system goes off in the school.
And something else I actually want to show you real quick. When that happens, every classroom has a box like this, also hooked up to the sheriff's department. The teacher can flip help if they actually see the suspect or they're in danger, or they can flip safe if the kids are safe.
In Wichita Falls, Texas, some students say there's one thing that makes them feel safer. Their teachers are armed.
I like it because it kind of makes me feel safer. Because, it's terrible. We don't have a police station here.
Since 2007, the Herald School District allows teachers with concealed handgun licenses to carry guns in the classroom, a move the superintendent is convinced will prevent a school shooting here.
My goal is if someone comes in to try to hurt my little ones, that they are killed.
At Edison High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma, armed guards patrol the hallways.
I would rather have it and never have to use it than not have it and run into a situation where I couldn't do my job fully.
About 28,300 schools have armed security staff. Gun advocates point to a case in 1997 when an armed vice principal at a high school in Pearl, Mississippi stopped a 16-year-old gunman who had already shot and killed 2 students. But at a school in suburban Chicago, where the focus is high-tech security but no guns, 4th grade teacher Dara Sacker says training teachers to be sharpshooters and expecting them to be at the right place at the right time is unrealistic.
I wouldn't feel comfortable being armed. I think it'd be better to just keep the guns out of schools rather than armed teachers.
Bill Bond, who was principal at Heath High School in Paducah, Kentucky, when a gunman killed 3 students in 1997, believes more guns will create more problems.
If I'd have contested him with a gun, he still had 5 loaded guns and 1,000 rounds of ammunition. I think it might have just continued on.
Okay, people of God, I want to just touch on this again, with the recent incident in Texas. There's a lot of stuff that the media is going to put out there. There's a lot of finger pointing and at the police officers, things of that nature. A lot of, things that are coming up. A lot of people that are speaking up on camera to the news media who are not even there. And they're just giving their overall assessment, and people are asking questions and questioning the officers' decisions, things of that nature. And first and foremost, I would say this, is that people don't know what it's like, as police officers, what to do, what they got to deal with day in and day out, especially in a situation like that. Where there's an AR-15 being involved. You don't have the armor, and it's easily that person could have taken out all those officers, and then what? And he would have access to the whole school. But I'm not going to, deal on that situation because it seems like, people were at fault as far as their reactions and what to do and all of that, because the whole thing was chaotic. It was chaos, and I just see, how people can easily quarterback, from comment sections and say what they should have did and what these officers should have did, but yet a lot of these people who sit up here and scrutinize, and it's not just these officers, but across the country. A lot of these people that sit up there and scrutinize, police officers or people in Secret Service, anything. These are people that will not suit up and put on a uniform and do the job that these officers do the job that these firefighters do, or anything. They're human beings. They're not RoboCops. They are human beings. And, they can make mistakes too. Just like, when we work our jobs, we know the policies and procedures. We can slip up and make a mistake. It may necessarily not mean that it will cost somebody their life, but it's going to cost the company, the organization, or the school something. It's going to create some kind of ripple effect where somebody's life or livelihood in that aspect can definitely be in jeopardy, So, but the point I want to bring up is that what the media and a lot of people are not looking at. and that is the school. And I bring this up because the school is the first line of defense for protecting children. And from this incident, there was a door left unlocked. A woman ran into the school and left the door unlocked and was propped open. And when you look at your home at night, one of your first line of defense for you and your family is you. You lock the doors, make sure all the locks and windows are secure. Why? Because you don't want anybody to have access to your house while you and your family are sleeping or fellowshipping, whatever. You know, me and my wife at times, we would go, especially when we were younger, we'd like driving through, other neighborhoods, just kind of touring the city a little bit and go through neighborhoods and everything. And, I would say, well-to-do neighborhoods, suburbs or whatever. And one of the things we would always go through and see is how people would just leave their garage door open. Door open, cars right there, whatever they got, Escalade, whatever they got, just open all throughout, just throughout the daytime or even throughout the evening, just because it's a well-kept neighborhood or a suburb or whatever. And me and my wife would always sit back and look, I don't care how, we ever move out to an area like that. So I'm not leaving my garage door open. Why? Because of the probabilities. You always want to be prepared just in case what if happens. That's the reason why in schools, you go through tornado drills. You go through fire drills, just not saying that you may not have had a tornado in your area or in that school at any time. When we were younger, I grew up in the 80s and stuff. We never had a tornado, but we always had tornado drills. We never had a fire at our school, but we always had fire drills. Why? To prepare for just in case or what if. Everybody, the students, the kids, and the staff knew exactly what was going to happen. There was going to be a radio, there was going to be a call on the PA system. There was going to be something that allowed the teachers to understand that this is a severity, this is a situation at hand, act accordingly. Prepare to follow the certain procedures. And I say this because this school did not do that. And for one, there needs to be definitely cameras outside the school. So they can monitor, anybody that's on school grounds or whatever. And we've seen the previous videos that you've shown. You see what the measures that people are taking. And some people are like, well, I don't think that they should have guns in schools and everything. Look at what's happening on the news, people. Look at how many times recently, African-American students, we saw the one down in Texas, and I'm only bringing this up, just kind of drive a point home. But there one student down in Texas, he was in school getting into a fight with somebody. He opened fires, he shoots a teacher, and he shoots two or three students, and then makes bail and gets a welcome home party by his mother and his family members. And then it happens again in another city where two black males are fighting. And then the one guy, he opens up fire and shoots at the person he was fighting. So you got teenagers bringing guns to school. So who's going to prevent that? Who's going to stop that? If you don't have somebody armed in the school, you have to look at and adjust to the times that we are living in. Things are not like they were in the 80s. It's not like they were in the 90s. I believe in the 80s, when I was growing up from 1980 all the way to 89, 90, we didn't have any school shootings. I don't even recall hearing any school shootings across the country. But the times, as we get further and further to the return of Jesus Christ, days and times are getting more and more wicked. And so you have to put certain measures in place to counter the wickedness and the evil that men are doing. And these are always boys and stuff committing this stuff. All right? You don't hear girls going into schools and doing this stuff. You hear boys doing this stuff. Broken homes. All right. Again, this nation and families have rejected the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is a result. Schools have removed prayer out of school and everything. And you see what happens when the hedge is broken, the serpent bites. And I'm not talking about this particular incident. I'm talking about over the course of time. You see what's happening to where now kids and young people are impacted. And these politicians, they sit up here and they use this to capitalize on, to try to push their agenda. Okay. But however, just recently, I just saw, in Chicago, two teenagers, one I believe was 19, the other one was 16 years old, opened fire on a home where there was a 6-year-old boy and his young brother. They ended up they were staying with their grandmother, and these teenagers opened fire in retaliation, opened fire and struck and killed, hit the boy 9 times, hit him with 9 shots inside the home. They shooting outside the home and opened fire on the home of the grandmother, the brother, the 2 little boys. Black. All of them were black. The 2 shooters, black. But does that make it national attention? No, because it's happening consistently in Chicago. And that mayor just continually is just so off target and just so off that don't even want to take, responsible measures to help, deal with the violence in Chicago. So this is not just something that just happened one time. But I want to just get back to the point I'm making. One day, about a year or so ago, me and my family were in the mall. Just during the day. I don't know if it was a weekday or whatever. In the mall, all of a sudden, we're going through Macy's, and we just walking through there. I don't remember what all we were doing. We were going through the Dick's Sporting Goods, and all of a sudden we just decided we wanted to go through Macy's. I go in there, spray some cologne or whatever. But we were just kind of going through there, see what was out for the summertime. And all of a sudden, all we hear is pop, 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 and I knew exactly what it was immediately. I grabbed my family, and we immediately turned around and went running to the nearest exit. All right. Now, in this mall, they have security, but security can only be at certain, they can't be everywhere at the same time. And this security is not even armed, but they're there. It's like they're there to help tell and call the police, whatever. And so we run out of the mall and run into the parking lot. And the whole time, they also hear people screaming, oh, they coming this way. So I'm getting my family, we got to go clear across the parking lot to get to our vehicle and everything, And all of a sudden I see this big Dodge Ram pickup truck pulling out, screeching his tires. People screaming, oh no, look out. And they just zooming. And they're just zooming through the parking lot and stuff and zooming behind, and 2 black men were in it. They zooming through the car, through the parking lot and everything. All of a sudden, they're gone. Then off in the distance, you can hear the sirens coming. The police officers were coming, and they were able to go in there. And I guess the person who had gotten shot, ended up checking into the local hospital around the corner. I don't know what came of it, if they caught the shooters or whatever, but they had a disagreement in the mall, and one opened fire, shot 5 or 6 times, and everybody took off running. And I bring this up because the security there, they don't have firearms. Nobody was able to stop these shooters. Nobody was able to stop this at all. People, didn't have a firearm. I didn't have one. So how do you prevent someone from committing, these type of acts in a public place if there's nobody there that is armed? How do you stop and save people's lives? And that is the thing, is that as a family, as parents, we're the first line of defense in protecting our home and our family, because the police officers can't be everywhere at the same time. It's going to take them time to get there, and the criminals know that, so that way they know how to hurry up and get out of there. That's why they take off running when they do stuff, because they know, a lot of times they won't be found or whatever. It's going to be hard to trace them and track them down because they done left the scene. But if there's somebody there that's armed, they can stop them. Okay? And I say that because in this situation, a lot of times people are not looking at the school. See, when you work, and I've worked in schools before, they have active shooter drills to where everybody knows what their assignment is. The administration, the principal, the assistant principal, okay, they are to get on the intercom, the PA system, that's what we call it back in the day, or get on the radio and immediately let everybody know we are in a lockdown. Staff, please lock all of your doors. No students in the hallway. There's to be no movement. Everybody needs to be in the classroom. And the doors are supposed to be able to be locked on the inside to where nobody on the outside can get in. That is the active drill active shooter drill that's supposed to be done and should be done by every school. Okay, and so with that being said, that means the doors, first and foremost, all doors to a school are to remain locked on the outside. The only way you're supposed to be able to get in is through the front door that leads to the office. And I suggest this because a lot of times administration, school administrators don't take things into, and don't put certain protocols, in place until after an incident happens. I went to, a while ago, went inside Huntington Bank. In our branch at Huntington Bank, they have this little gerbil area where you go through the door and you cannot go through the second door until you are buzzed in. It's a security measure. Okay? Say, for example, somebody tries to rob the bank, they run out, they're going to run out through that door, and that door behind them is going to lock, and the other door is not going to open up. Okay? And so that's the way they take their security measures. And so going into the front office, there needs to be a two-step process. It shouldn't just be a buzzing in, let you in the front office. Because what if somebody comes in, hides a firearm, they go in the front office and take the front office out, then they're going to have access to the school. Nobody knows about it. Can't nobody call the front office, can't radio anybody. So these are the things that what happened on this particular incident, the school failed these kids. The administration, the staff, they failed to secure these children. And it's even, hurtful even to say something like that, but that's just the reality of it. And people, the schools and stuff, they have to adjust the time. And what's going to happen is people going to start homeschooling, which, hey, I'm, all for it, whatever. But the first line of defense, when you send your child to school, you expect that the school protects them from being bullied, from being harassed, from being assaulted. Okay? You expect for that school to be a safe environment to where your child or your children can learn in a safe environment. Because when the environment is safe, it makes learning more easier. Because the children are not focused on anything else but the curriculum that's being taught before them. And when you have a school that, for example, this guy, this teenager, apparently climbs a fence. People say it was an 8-foot tall fence, which I don't think it was, because 8 foot tall, it takes a while to climb an 8-foot tall fence. You can't just run and scale over that. You have to climb that. So if somebody sees somebody climbing that, then they know, wait a minute, something's going on. How you gonna climb that with an AR-15 rifle or whatever? So then they said it was a 4-foot fence, which sounds more reasonable. But no matter what the size of the fence, there's no security cameras that people are monitoring, that are posted up outside the school to recognize any suspicious behavior. And then there was nobody calling and saying, hey, the school, there's a person in the building and everything. No radio calls, nothing like that. See, what happens is that when people live in such, areas where, they're far away from everybody. And I think this school is like in no man's land, something like that. But when they're far away from nobody, they don't think anything can happen until the day comes when something happens. Now, I guarantee you that after this incident, there's going to be different security measures put in place, but I am all for schools having armed security in there. For one, it's going to stop a lot of the nonsense of bullying and physical aggression that's taken place in some of these schools. It will stop a lot of that stuff. Now, as far as like armed teachers and everything, hey, if they're trained, okay, but it's because of the days and times we live in, people. There's certain adjustments are going to have to be made. You done took paddling out the school where people don't respect authority. They done took, so many prayers out of school. All right. The schools, you got schools that just let parents walk in, and some of these parents are angry and mad, and they go in and they beat up on another student, whatever, they're able to walk the hallways and stuff. All of these ridiculous things that schools are allowing to happen that is putting students and staff at risk. And so when you don't have certain security measures in place, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, something is going to take place where it's going to be a close call, or it's going to be something traumatic that happens that's going to frighten the kids or the staff as well. Okay, so that is a thing that I see out of this whole situation. The school is the first line of defense. And when doors are left propped open, and nobody's able to sound out on a PA system or to do a radio call. When that doesn't happen, it is an open target for anything to take place. You got teenagers sneaking firearms into schools and stuff, and these other teenagers know about it, but don't nobody want to tell on them in some cases. And the school is like sitting ducks, and then you got to wait for the police officers to respond because it takes some time to get there. So again, they have fire drills, they know what to do. They have tornado drills, they know what to do. Schools should be having active shooter drills so everybody knows what to do. And when you're trained and knowing what to do, when that situation pops up and happen, you know how to follow the protocol and exactly what steps to take to prevent tragedy or injury from happening. When I used to work in this youth facility, we had to go through what was called CPI, Certified Physical Intervention, something like that. I forgot what it was. But anyway, we had to know how to physically restrain these teenagers. And we had to, we had went through this step-by-step process. Whatever, every 3 months, we had to retrain. Every 3 months, we had to go over it again. I became a CPI instructor and everything. And so anytime we went to physical restraints, now, we started off with the right step, but we knew good and well that it was that teenager was going to put up a fight, and they were not going to sit there and let you grab their arms and just gently put them on the ground. No, it was going to be a fight, but we knew how to start off. We knew when we started off, and we knew where we were going to end up in a restraint. So we would not cause any suffocation, anything like that, but we also kept the teenagers safe. And I say that to say this because when you go through things with repetition, then when a situation comes, it's like clockwork for you. You know exactly what to do. You know what your role is, and you know what to do to keep these young people safe and to keep yourself safe. And unfortunately, that was not done. In this or any other situation, you have to have certain measures put in place. And I really think that it's time for schools, to have bulletproof doors and windows because of this stuff. And so there's an investment that needs to take place in keeping young people safe. And it's because of the times that we are living in. And we have to be, the schools, you have to be proactive. Administration needs to be proactive to prepare, always prepare for the what if. What if a fire breaks out? Where are the staff and the students to go and to meet up? What is going to be the safe zone to meet up at? What if a tornado breaks out? Where are the students and the staff to go? Make sure they're away from the windows and glass. Okay? They have to prepare for the what if. And administrations and schools, they just think that, hey, nothing has ever happened here. We're in a nice area. We're in this area. We got police stations right down the street. That doesn't mean anything because it only takes seconds for somebody to get injured or harmed or lose their life because somebody is careless or somebody called off that day, so they're not there. You still need to have somebody fill that position and occupy that position so that certain things won't take place. Billy called off, so that just means we just ain't going to have security here today. We just not. No, you have to have that position filled. And those parameters around that school need to be covered and need to be monitored. And cameras need to be on the outside of the school building and inside the school building. And it makes no difference how far away you are or whatever. If you're in no man's land, whatever, the same thing needs to take place because our country, and you see where our nation is at, where you got a lot of rebellious teenagers. They come from a lot of broken homes and are hurt and are scarred. And that's one thing I haven't seen is where this young man's parents were and what happened in this person's life. Because even though when we send our, children to school, people send their children to school, the school is first line of defense, but also the home. The home is the very first thing to prevent things like this from happening. Getting divorces, single parent homes, rejection in the home, children being bullied, not able to talk to their parents and everything because the father arrested, the mother's on drugs, or she's drunk, or can't even monitor her child because she got to work 2 or 3 jobs and everything. Decisions that the parents are making are impacting these young people, and these young people grow up And that hurt and that frustration, that anger and that rage is in them. And this ain't no mental illness nonsense stuff. These are evil spirits, because demons always take advantage of traumatic experiences in people's lives. When they're hurt, when they're rejected, evil spirits take advantage of that and will lead a person into doing things like that. All right, so I wanted to share that because a lot of times people are they're looking at all this stuff, the police, and you know the media, they want to do away with the police anyway. The media is on the side of liberals and Democrats to try to do away with the police and stuff, and you know they scrutinize the police, but then turn around and scream and cry about the rise in violence and everything, and want the police officers more involved in the community and everything. So they don't know what they want. Because they're in darkness. They don't know what they want. They'll just continue to keep pushing this agenda. Now you got politicians and stuff, pushing this, talking about taking away people, rivals and everything. But while their schools and the schools that their children go to, they got people monitoring them and protecting them. And they don't have pistols. Okay? So it's something how, we see these things happening, and we see, politicians. You've seen Steve Kerr, come out there and he gave his, tearful speech, and try to blame, Republicans and stuff like that. And I think like a year or so ago, he was actually in Sacramento marching with parents saying that the schools need to do away with security officers. And now look what happened. A shooter, came to a school, no security officer, and look what happened. So these people that try to be, and I find it very interesting again, how all these NBA coaches and sports athletes and everything, they all riled up over, and people should be, over the school shooting and stuff, but they said absolutely nothing when that abortion stuff came up. Absolutely nothing. You know why? Because they're trying to be politically correct. They fall on the side of the liberals and Democrats and act like they care about children, which they probably do, but they don't care all the way because they're afraid of what's going to happen to their career if they stand up against abortion. If you're going to care about children, care about the ones and the little babies in the womb too. All right, so this is just something. Just want to do this video real quick, just kind of show the times that we're in, and adjustments and measures have to take place because of the stuff that we're seeing, because of the stuff that schools are experiencing. Things need to take place, and some people, I don't want my child go. Well, keep your child home then and homeschool them. Would you rather somebody be in there that's able to keep your child safe from some impending danger or a school shooter? Would you rather have somebody in there that can stop that school shooter, or not have anybody in there and you're relying on technology only, and you just, and then all of a sudden something happens? Then there'll be all kind of crying and weeping and wailing and everything. There's certain things that, I know people may disagree, but and that's fine, but the times we're living in, especially in these inner cities, especially when these, cities, Chicago, Philadelphia, and all that stuff, yeah, you're going to have armed security in there. You're going to have to. Because criminals, they think twice when they know they're going to be met with firepower in a building, in a school. All right? So I just want to take that time and just kind of bring that stuff up, because I really think that the responsibility protect those children falls upon the school. When you leave doors open, there's no security cameras, no security person there or anything, the staff and the kids are left vulnerable. And unfortunately, that's what's happening across the country in schools, where students are witnessing their peers being shot by their own peer in the school. Okay? So I just want to share that with you. God bless you. Love you in Jesus' name.
First at noon, we continue our coverage on a shooting that happened at a graduation birthday party last night at the Vista View apartment complex here in Charleston. Police say 37-year-old Dennis Butler showed up with an AR-15 and started shooting. Now, what police say could have been a mass casualty event was stopped by a bystander. Eyewitness News reporter Ava Rash has been covering the latest developments for us all morning. And Ava, it sounds like that woman was in the right place at the right time.
Lauren, you are exactly right. Police say that she was legally carrying a concealed pistol. She shot Butler multiple times, stopping him from shooting dozens of people, including children. Now, whenever I spoke to police this morning, they told me that he was approached early on in the night for speeding throughout that area near the party. Investigators say he then left, came back about 30 minutes later, parked in front of the 1300 complex, got into the back seat of his car where that AR-15 was, and began firing into the crowd. That woman took action, shot and killed Butler. Now, Lieutenant Tony Hazlett says no one was injured and that this woman did the right thing.
Lady was carrying a lawful firearm, okay, a law-abiding citizen who stopped the threat of probably 20 to 30 people getting killed. She engaged the threat and stopped it. She didn't run from the threat, she engaged it, preventing a mass casualty here in Charleston.